What are your next steps? Good morning, and welcome to Thursday at the VoiceOver Huddle. My name's Mike Hathcote. This huddle is all about voiceover and your voiceover business. We do it every Monday through Friday and discuss voiceover and how you can grow and sustain your business. And I'm glad you're here. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell and share if you feel so inclined. Certainly appreciate that. And also don't forget that Kayla Brick's class on Upwork is still filling up. There's a link in the description if you want to learn all about Upwork, whether you're brand new to it or maybe you've been on there and you're just not figuring it out or whatever. There has been a ton of changes over on Upwork, and Kayla is the best as far as breaking it all down and giving us all the info we need to win on Upwork. We are limiting it to 100 seats, so don't forget that. And the price is low, so it probably will sell out. And if you're a Blueprint member, don't forget to use your discount code to get the little extra discount off of the price. Okay, right into it. So yesterday we talked about what was holding you back, and talked about some of the things that could be holding you back and maybe how to sidestep those or get past those. Today, I want to talk about what your next steps are, assuming that you have been able to get past whatever it is that is holding you back. What is the next step in your process or in your career that you're trying to achieve? What is that next kind of, rung on the ladder that you want to achieve? So go ahead and chime in on the chat and let me know what your next steps are. And of course, as usual, chime in and just let me know where you're watching from so we can do some shout outs. But yeah, put it in the chat. What is your next step, assuming that you've been able to jump past whatever is holding you back? It can be as big and audacious, or it can be just the tiniest little thing. Whatever it is, as long as you're moving forward, that's all that matters. So here's a few examples, okay? So maybe it's just watch more of the videos on this channel. Maybe it's just, it's something as easy as that. There's more than 1,500 videos on this YouTube channel, all zero cost content that you can absorb and learn all aspects of voiceover. That could be your next step. Maybe you're brand new, and maybe you're also brand new. Maybe the next step is buying my book, which is the VoiceOver Blueprint right here. You can get that also in the description below for less than $10. You get the digital download and the audiobook, as well as 4 free bonus gifts. So if maybe that's your next step. Maybe you're also brand new and you just want to know what your next step should be. Maybe you don't even know what your next step is. And that book will tell you, because it is a blueprint of all the steps you need to take to reach full time. Maybe your next step is buying equipment. Maybe you kind of know what the process is, and maybe that's your next step, is getting some equipment or building a booth that you need to use to record. And it doesn't need to be a big fancy schmancy booth. It can be something as simple as PVC pipes and moving blankets. A lot of people use those. Remember, if it sounds good, it is good. It doesn't have to look pretty. It just needs to sound good. So maybe that's your next step. What about joining a training program, VoiceOver Blueprint, or maybe just getting some coaching, some one-on-one coaching, or even group coaching? That is a very important step. If that is your next step, then I obviously invite you to check out the VoiceOver Blueprint. That is our flagship training program. There's a link in the description to learn more about that. Maybe your next step is getting a pro demo. Maybe right now you're just working off of a DIY demo, which definitely limits how much work you can get, because a DIY demo is not to be used in any sort of direct marketing situation. It's fine for practice. It's fine for places like Upwork or Fiverr or whatever. But when you want to start going after the big work and the big paying work and the high profile jobs, you need a pro demo or several. So maybe that's your next step, and maybe you're saving up for that, because those are not cheap, but they are so well worth it. Yesterday we talked about maybe if money was holding you back, and using the pro demo, the return on investment, the ROI that can come from a pro demo. So maybe that's your next step. Or maybe you've already got a pro demo and you're looking to kind of branch into a different genre, right? Maybe your only pro demo is a commercial demo, which is where most people start. Not everyone, but most people will start with a commercial demo. And then once that starts to pick up some, traction, then you might want to branch out into maybe some, e-learning or medical or corporate, radio imaging, TV affiliate, which we just had the TV affiliate bootcamp. All those different kinds of demos you can get. Most people will start with a commercial demo. So maybe that's your next step. Maybe it's build a website. Maybe, you've gotten your demos and your next step is to build a website so that you can go out and start doing your direct marketing. Because the demo, the demo and the website kind of go hand in hand. You want to make sure that when you have good pro quality demos that you have a really nice website to showcase those demos on before you start doing any direct marketing. So maybe your next step is to build a website or to hire someone to build a website. So that is one thing. And speaking of websites, this just occurred to me. On the VoiceOver Blueprint homepage or website main page, we've added a new partners page where we've listed several providers within the voiceover industry who are offering discounts for our members. For our members. So if you go to the Blueprint page, thevoiceoverblueprint.com, scroll to the very bottom, there's a partners tab, click on that, and there is a link on there for the Voice Actors Webmaster. We just added that last week. Jeff Bianchi, who is the owner of that outfit, he builds websites for voice actors, and he is offering a special discount for the people who are in the Blueprint and on this huddle. If you need someone to build your website for you, in other words, you're not going to do it yourself, he's offering a special discount just for our members. So if you're interested in that, check that out on the bottom of our main homepage on the voiceoverblueprint.com. Maybe your next step is getting an agent or you're another agent. I've got 5 agents, but maybe that's your next step is you've got all the things in place. You're doing your direct marketing. You're doing, your auditions on different platforms and stuff. Maybe you want to increase the odds of you getting more work by getting another agent or getting your first agent. That's totally legit. Remember, you don't need to rely on the agents to get the work, but it's nice to have them because that's just another steady stream of audition opportunities coming in. So that could be your next step. What's next? Maybe direct marketing. Maybe you've gotten your demo, your pro demo, and you've built your website. Maybe the next step after that, which is the next logical step, is to start doing your direct marketing. And that is literally reaching out directly to the providers, the content creators, and start introducing yourself and start getting some traction that way in your marketing. That's a very important step because really it's very hard. In fact, I would say it's almost impossible, especially now, to sustain yourself just using platforms like Fiverr and Upwork and those kind of places. Direct marketing is the key, in my opinion, to sustaining a full-time career in voice acting. It's necessary now. Before, people would just survive on pay-to-plays or, freelance sites, but now you got to direct market it. And the only way to direct market, remember, is to have a good pro demo. Check my list here. What is next? Maybe you've been direct marketing and your next step is just to continue that, or maybe it's hiring as an assistant to actually expand and broaden your range. That's what I did several years ago. I had to hire an assistant because it was a good problem to have. I had so much work during the day that I couldn't do direct marketing. And you want to make sure that you keep that pipeline full. You want to make sure that, yes, if you're busy every day, that's great. That's the goal. But if you're busy all day and don't have the time to direct market and keep that pipeline, churning, then that's going to be an issue. So that's what I did, is I hired an assistant to do that for me so that I could actually focus on my work. And still going on today. And so that's maybe that's your next step. Another option may be a CRM. Maybe because you've been direct marketing so much, you're starting to run out of ways to keep track of all the contacts that you've created and the leads and the prospects and the clients. A spreadsheet will only go so far. And a good CRM will help you kind of manage and organize that stuff and give you, insight into, what's being opened and where are they clicking on the email that you sent, and, give you reminders to follow up with people and all that kind of stuff. So that's what a good CRM will do for you. So that's just a few things that could be your next step. So let's check the chat and see what everybody else is saying about their next steps. There's Sean from Longview, first one in today. Good morning. And there's Jason from Kearney, Nebraska. Hey, Grady from Ithaca. And there's Nancy from Yankton, South Dakota. Nephi from Knoxville, Tennessee. And there's Sally. Good morning from Plano, Texas. My new Scarlett Solo Gen 3 arrived this morning. So my next step is to get it set up and start playing with gains and levels. Perfect. I think you'll dig it. I use it. It's great. And it shouldn't take you very long to figure out, where the gains should be and everything. And then you're going to be off to the races. Sarah says, out and about, but tuning in to the Daily Huddle in Kentucky. Thank you, Sarah. Good to see you. And there's Tracy from Rochester, Minnesota. And there's Grant Park Dennis. Good to see you, Grant Park, Illinois. And there's Matt, who is somewhere. There's John from Denver. There's Matt again. Hello from Central Connecticut. And there's Bob. Good to see you, Bob. And Callie from Pasco, Washington. Bob says, you snuck up on me from Wadsworth, Ohio. Sorry about that. There's Kirk from Greenville. Sandra's next step is get a coach. That's good. I know one. Wink. Jason says, my next steps are getting pro demos and joining the blueprint. Awesome, Jason. Can't wait to get you in there. Just let me know if I can help in any way. And there's Andrew from Latvia. Good morning, Andrew. And Theo from downtown Chicago. There's Matt from Portland, Oregon. JJ says, finally got my files to George. We'll work on Fiverr meditation and e-learning gigs. Keep up with VOBP webinars each day. Focus on daily money. That's right. Or daily money goals, sorry. And she's calling in. That's my old radio kicking in. She's checking in from Minnesota. Bob says, PVC and blankets seem to be the next step for me. There's a great video, and I just do a YouTube search for DIY sound booth. And there's a really good video on how to build those. And it's by, I can't remember what it is, but anyway, there's a lot of videos on how to do it, but there's one in particular that I've saved. You know what? Let me just find it real quick. Sorry. I've got it bookmarked because I do have several people who ask me about it. Where is it? Maybe I don't. Oh, there it is. Okay, this is... Oh, it's Deity Microphones. Deity. D-E-I-T-Y. Deity Microphones. How to build a DIY vocal booth for under $200. So check that out. Deity Microphones. D-E-I-T-Y. And then just DIY vocal booth. That should pull it up. So there you go. Sorry, that was a little bit of a diversion there, but check it out. Now let me find my place here. There's Charlie from Toma, Wisconsin. Is it Toma? Is that I guess that's how I pronounce that. Kate says, greeting from Marietta, Georgia. I have my booth set up now, and I need to send a sound check to a VO engineer, a friend of mine. I may also upgrade my mic. I currently have an MXL 2001. Well, I would wait until the engineer gets back to you, because you may not need a new mic. I mean, if they're able to kind of get you all set up without a new mic and make it sound good, then roll with it. Callie says, my next steps are booth audit, more training, and auditioning. There you go. There's David from Hamilton, Ontario. Jim says, I'm in the huddle, but not in the blueprint. Where can I find the link for the website designer? You go to thevoiceoverblueprint.com, land on the web page, scroll to the very bottom of the page, and there's a row of buttons there, and the last one is partners. And if you click on that, it'll take you to the partners page, where you'll see all the different discounts that everybody's offering for the members. And Jim's in Memphis, by the way. Joy says, good afternoon from Southfield, Michigan. Basically, money to get a pro demo is the only thing that's holding me back from direct marketing. That's why I stick with the P2P until I make money. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, once you get that pro demo, then the shackles are off. You can get off of I'm not saying get off the paid plays, but you can go beyond those, right? You can break free of only having to work on platforms and start going direct to the source, where you can make more money. And it's just so much more free, meaning just the freedom of being able to just work back and forth with a client versus having to work within the constraints of some platform. Sarah says her next step is meet with Alex to fine-tune my booth. Perfect. Darren says, hey, Rayford, North Carolina. Have a great day. Well, thank you, Darren, and you too. Matt says, my next steps are putting finishing touches on my booth and setting up my equipment. That is the best, when you get everything kind of set up the way it's supposed to be, and you hit record on that first job or that first audition or whatever. That's a great feeling. David from Maple Grove, Minnesota. First time being here live. Well, welcome, David. Thank you for being here. JJ says, Jason Kirkover, you won't regret joining the VO Blueprint. I've been there since 2019. Could not have done VO without it. And all the supportive coaches. Thank you so much, JJ. Appreciate you. And yeah, she's been in the game for a while now in the Blueprint. And yeah, it's a very supportive community that we've created. And we've got people in there that are brand spanking new, all the way up to people like JJ, who's been in there since 2019 or maybe even earlier, who can support and guide and help kind of, get you to whatever that next step is in your journey. And we're pretty proud of it. So thank you, JJ, for that vote of confidence. Hey, Terry from Fallston, Maryland. Good to see you on here. Okie dokie. Well, once again, do not forget, if Upwork is your next step, don't forget that class that's coming up this coming Tuesday with Kayla, where she is going to really give a masterclass on Upwork and how to use it now, because there's been so many changes on there over the last year. Just like with Fiverr, they had a bunch of changes in their algorithm and in their rules and what they do and don't do and how you can get seen, or all that kind of stuff. Kayla has cracked the code, and she's going to let us know all the details on how to make sure that we win on platforms like Upwork. Andrew says, my next step is performance training, sound check, recording things for Fiverr and Upwork. There you go. Well, then don't miss that class then, Andrew, if you're going to be doing Upwork. That is going to be a big win for you, I think. Okay, my next steps, you want to know what mine are? My next steps are to do these jobs that are in here in my inbox right now. I've got a job for the Virginia DMV, and then I've got a job for Campbell's Soup, And what else do I have in here? Got a few auditions to do. So I've got a little bit of work to do today. Those are my next steps. So, oh wait, Jim says, Upwork has always been a dead end for me usually. Dead end for me. Usually everybody is there is lowballing. I tell you, this is another way to do this, Jim, and Kayla will break this down. She has a way to filter out the lowball jobs, and she's going to demonstrate that. Because I've mentioned this before, but I have found that, yes, there's going to be lowballs everywhere. And all you got to do is not take those jobs. But you want to make sure that you can get the best paying jobs on there. And so I've found that the clients on Upwork tend to pay more than on Fiverr and some of those other places. So if you've hit a dead end on Upwork, it's working for me, and I'm hoping to even make it work better. So Kayla is going to be instrumental in that. So I can't wait for all her info coming up on Tuesday. So check it out. If you've hit a dead end, it might be worth it. Maybe one job will more than pay for the class, and then you'll be ready to rock. Theo says, customize your search and look for postings that have a budget of $100 or more, or whatever value you like. Yeah, that's part of it. There's more to it than that, though, which is also, like I said, what Kayla's going to talk about. There's algorithm stuff, and there's stuff you can do to your profile to weed out some of that stuff, and that's what she's going to talk about. Okay, I am going to get to work. Thank you once again for being here, and hopefully whatever your next step is, you'll be able to get there and then some. So until tomorrow, which is Q&A Friday, don't forget to bring your questions tomorrow, and we'll answer those. And until then, break a lip. See you later.